pleasure to be with you this morning. I am calling you from Lima. As you may know, I'm usually based in Singapore. I got to Lima a few days ago. I'm now in our Lima office and happy to be on the call with you today to talk to you a little bit about our new baby, the Aqua Blue, that's operating in Indonesia. Just a few of housekeeping. We've got a few of my sales managers also connected today, so they'll be following up with you if you have any questions. I'll present them at the end of the last slide of the presentation today. Indicates their contact details, but also if I have time, I'll make time for some questions online today. So let's see if I can work this GoToMeeting and activate the questions at the end. It's now 11 o'clock here in Lima. As I mentioned, arrived a few days ago. I was on our cruise ship and river cruiser on the Mekong a few days ago, then on the Aqua Blue in Indonesia, and now about to embark on the Amazon this weekend. And so the idea today was to schedule a time to talk to you about our newest expedition ship, the one that's operating in Indonesia. As many of you know, Aqua Expeditions started 11 years ago. I founded it in Peru, and then moved out to Singapore about 8 years ago to grow our business in Southeast Asia. The Aqua Mekong was launched in 2014, and the Aqua Blue is our first expedition explorer yacht in Indonesia. So I'm just going to go through the slides here, and let's see, and then I'll leave the questions at the end. If you have any, happy to take them. As I mentioned, this presentation and this sales presentation take maximum 30 minutes, so I'll try to wrap up at 11:25 to then give you 5 minutes for Q&A, or if we go a few minutes over, just bear with me because I am excited and talking about this. So the business started 11 years ago in the Peruvian Amazon with the Aqua Amazon business in Southeast Asia because we had thanks to you, local guests that wanted to travel to other parts of the world, as long as we maintain that ethos of experiential, high-end, soft adventure focused on culture, F&B, world-class guide, either a flora and fauna setting or cultural setting. And as long as we maintain those key deliverables, we could grow the brand, and we put the Aqua into operation in October 2014. It was an opportunity to move over to Southeast Asia, set up our office, move my family to Singapore, and set up shop there to then grow the business. And then, Then recently, a few months ago, we announced the launch of our Aquanera, which is our brand new vessel that will start operating this October on the Amazon. Similar itinerary, different departure day, but a completely different design concept to the area. It's obviously allowing us to elevate once again the deliverable of a world-class expedition river cruiser on the Amazon. And because the demand merits it, we're building her in Vietnam and then shipping it to South America. That's an entire different webinar, because just that journey of how we're building in Ho Chi Minh and then shipping it across the world to Brazil and then navigating it upriver to Iquitos later this year will be worthwhile of a Netflix episode. But anyways, I won't dwell on that today because that's my next project in the works. I'm spending a lot of my time in Vietnam these days supervising the construction of the Aquanera on the Mekong, and then she'll be shipped over to South America later in July this year. But one of the purpose today was the Aqua Blue. You may recall that I kind of cut my teeth into tourism in the Galapagos Islands years ago, running a business that wasn't mine, but that I fell in love with, and I realized I had my calling in this industry through the Galapagos Islands and how I ran 2 ships out there. So to be able to go back to coastal cruising is a real, it's a real amazing story for me, because this is our first as Aqua Explorer yacht being launched. The Aqua Blue has an incredible history, and I'll share that with you, how I came into her, how I purchased her, refitted her, launched her in October of this year, a few months ago, November of last year, and she's been operating in Raja Ampat, Komodo, and the Spice Islands since then. So Aqua Blue, as you can see, there's a split between 2 East Asian ships and 2 South American cruisers, and I think the ability to complement each other is an perfect offering that if you've had past guests with us on the Amazon, then they're going to love the Aqua Blue, or vice versa. If they've done the Mekong, they're going to love the Aqua Blue because we stick to our ethos, but we obviously do it in a different part of the world. So our brand has developed over the years. We've gone from a traditional kind of river cruise destination product to now evolving to our growing river cruises, but also going to our yacht expeditions. These are small ships. For those of you who don't know, our ships, the Ari Amazon has 16 cabins, the Aqua Mekong has 20 cabins, the Aqua Nera will have 20 cabins, and the Aqua Blue has 15 cabins. So never going above 40 guests, always with a 1-to-1 crew to staff ratio, and obviously delivering an incredible experience in different parts of the world. The pictures you can see today are pictures, the result of my maiden voyage. I took the maiden voyage in November. Basically, what we did is we cruised from Singapore to Bali, got it ready in Bali in November, and then in November had a 35-day inaugural voyage that was split in 12 nights plus some days in between, traversing all of Indonesia from Bali all through Flores into Raja Ampat, which is West Papua. Again, an incredible part of the world. The picture above, the first picture, is just some of the snorkeling sites. This is the #1 snorkeling and dive site of the world. Indonesia has more marine biodiversity than any part of the world. It's in the Coral Triangle and is teeming with wildlife below and above the water, much more than Galapagos. Even though Galapagos is the #3 dive site of the world, Raja Ampat, the bottom picture, those limestone formations, that is the #1 dive site of the world. I'm not a diver. Our yacht is not a liveaboard dive boat. Our yacht is a luxury expedition ship, but with a diving component. So we go for diving, it's included, but it's pretty much taken care of. The middle picture, on the other hand, that fort is a Dutch fort. It's Spice Islands in the middle of the Banda Sea and has an incredible history. Very few people have been to the Spice Islands. Maybe you don't even know where they are. They're in the middle of the Banda Sea between Komodo and Raja Ampat. And basically they're known, and they will be more known as we get to tell that story more, because the Dutch gave up Manhattan in 1667 for an island right next door called Pulau Run, because they wanted to control the nutmeg, mace, and cinnamon routes of the world. So we go to Spice Islands for 2 months of the year, September and October. We do 7-night expeditions in and out of the Spice Islands, where you see the rich culture and history that this place has. It's basically like walking into a living museum. There's these Dutch forts which were held and created and built in order to protect all the spices and protect these islands from foreign invasion, because nutmeg at the time was worth more than gold. And so the Dutch East India Company was the Amazon of today and the most profitable, wealthy company in the world. An incredible history to see into Bandanera. So we go there. That picture right there is our sunset that I set up. We book out the entire fort privately for sunset. And then have a deep, beautiful harbor as our backdrop with Sanyang volcano, right? Agunapi volcano, sorry, in the backdrop. And then the final frontier where we go to, Raja Ampat, the bottom picture, is the classic iconic limestone formations of Wayag and Misul, which is West Papua, part of Indonesia. Incredible, teeming with whale sharks, with oceanic manas, really an incredible part of the world. So the map, just to get your bearings, Indonesia spans the width of continental United States. It basically spans 3 time zones. It's a 5-hour flight from the easternmost to the westernmost. Our area of focus, however, is eastern Indonesia, basically spanning Bali to Raja Ampat. You see the 3 little highlights there? Those 3 highlights are basically the areas that we focus on. So when I built the itinerary and I explored, I spent a lot of time in Indonesia exploring all these parts of the world. And as I tell our guests and as our guides tell our guests, today Indonesia is one of the few countries in the world where you can still be an explorer, because out of 18,000 islands in low tide and 17,000 islands in low tide, in high tide, basically most people only know Bali. Some more trepid adventurers know Yogyakarta, where there's Borobudur Temple, similar to Siem Reap. But beyond Bali, very few people now know Nihiwatu, that put Sumba on the map, an incredible property. But no one really knows beyond. They've heard of this place called Raja Ampat, where you can go see birds of paradise or maybe swim with whale sharks or the Komodo dragon. But to be an FIT product, giving guaranteed departures every Saturday of the year and shifting the destination we go to so we have an all-year itinerary, is the first. There's beautiful local Phoenici wooden boats doing private charter business, but no one has a scheduled FIT product to cater to your guests and to be able to sell Indonesia as an all-year destination. So whilst it does span 3 time zones, we focus Komodo 6 months of the year, Spice Islands 2 months of the year, and Raja Ampat 3 months of the year. So when you say what's the best time to come, any time of the year. Depending what time of the year, the vessel will be in 3 different locations, taking advantage of the best weather. Because it's such a wide geographic area, we're at the best time of the year in the best part of Indonesia. So this is the bird's eye kind of our yearly calendar. I did it in this format because it kind of gives you a better understanding of where the ship is. This is a voyage calendar of 2020. So the ship today, right now, has left Raja, is arriving into maintenance into Singapore, and then it leaves in Singapore in early April and goes back to Bali and does the 7-night Bali Komodo Bali cruise for 7 return back from National Park back to Bali. Then we have these 12-night cross-destination voyages, which is when the ship leaves Komodo National Park and Spice Islands at the end of September. It's an incredible 12-night journey that covers both Spice Islands and Komodo, spends 2 months in Komodo doing 7-night itinerary, and then moves to Raja Ampat. So you basically have 7-night voyages the entire year, except for several times a year, these 12-night cross-destination. These are incredible trips because you can basically get 2 destinations for the price of 12 nights. I can go back to this. You can see all this presentation, and we can make it available to you if you want it. Post a webinar and have it available. It's all available in our sales kit through our agent portal, and I'll give you access to that at the end of the presentation today. So pictures. This is a destination about pictures. There's so much. This is for people that love Galapagos, love African safaris, love Antarctica, want to do a bit of both. These pictures are all I had them taken with our photographers on is Komodo National Park. It's about Komodo dragon and about the wildlife and culture in the area. So Komodo is an island, a dragon, and a national park. And the highlight is, one of the highlights is Komodo dragon, but we only see it half a day of a 7-night excursion. The whale shark swimming at the back on the right corner right there, that's a picture that's me and some parts of the water. That's a site I found behind, basically, I'm not going to tell you, but it's between Bali and Komodo. And it's pretty sure that you'll get to see them at the location because I'm not going to get spoiled. But they're very rare to see, but we do have a lot that we can see them most of the year whenever we do that itinerary. And obviously the rest of the scenery of, so you have to go all the way to West Papua to see the whale sharks. You can see them on our Bali to Komodo itinerary. Skipping some of the content, but obviously the slides depict the pictures of the destination. The Komodo Flores is the easiest itinerary to get to. You fly to Bali, get on the ship right there every Saturday. Our ship leaves every Saturday of the year, doing a 7-night itinerary, except for these 12-night itineraries. So it leaves Bali, and it takes a 7-night journey through Moyo, Sumbawa, and the islands of the Komodo National Park, snorkeling with manta rays, trekking Padar and Rinca Island, seeing obviously the Komodo dragon, spending time in beautiful pink beaches, kayaking, stand-up paddle boards, all this through this national park and these group of islands. And these are some of the treks and some of the waters that we visit. This itinerary on this map right here, you've got Bali to Komodo or Komodo Labuan Bajo to Bali. The airport codes are DPS for Bali, Denpasar, and you can arrive early in the morning, catch the boat in the afternoon, and it leaves right out of Bali Benoa Harbor, sort of covering the area of about 400 nautical miles in 1 week, so double the number that most other vessels do. And then we disembark in Labuan Bajo Airport on the island of Flores. There's regular flights. Our preferred airline is Garuda, and you can fly back or fly to Labuan Bajo and take the cruise back to Bali. So the distances are 1 hour and 50 minutes from Bali to Labuan Bajo, 2 hours from Jakarta. Those are 2 access routes. This is the basic itinerary of that voyage. We have something called the voyage calendar. Get it from my team. We can make it available to you. It's on our website as well. But it basically tells you the highlights of where we stop and all the departure dates on the right. So you've got the airport codes at the top upper left-hand corner, Denpasar, DPS, and Labuan Bajo. You've got the duration of the itinerary right in the middle, at the upper right hand of the map. And then on the right side, you've got all the departure dates applicable to that itinerary. That's the one way, and then there's opposite way. So basically every Saturday of that season of April to September. Then you move on to the Spice Islands, crossing eastern Indonesia, you come to Banda Neira. We have an incredible, it's like living in a museum, because when I walked into Banda Neira a few years ago, when I went for the first time, getting off from Banda Neira, I walked through the town. There's about 20,000 people who still live there. They're mostly subsistence fishermen and living off local commerce, but there's steel cannons thrown on the side of the road through Banda Neira, left there by the Dutch because they wanted to laden up their galleons with more nutmeg and mace because it was worth more than the weight of gold at the time. So it's just an incredible history to see this and visit nutmeg plantations. You do dive, you do snorkel, we do trek. So the Spice Islands, being the slightly stronger cultural component to the itinerary out of the three, it still has an incredible snorkeling and leisure component to it. This is some of the aspects of the architecture, and I've booked 2 beautiful Kora canoes that welcome the ship as she enters Banda Harbor at 7 o'clock in the morning. Guests have coffee up on deck, incredible Indonesian coffee, and in we come into this deep harbor of Banda Neira while 2 Kora canoes chant and receive us. And we have to make sure that we don't pass the canoes, because if not, it's seen a sign of aggression. Rather, we have to stay behind them so we showcase that we're coming in peace. It's an incredible part of the world, and one you have to come. You're going to see that this expedition of ours is going to warrant people coming back and rebooking the 3 different itineraries because they're so varied. Out of most of our ships, once you do the Amazon, I'd love for you to come back, but the truth is you've done the Amazon, you're going to have to necessarily do it again, maybe until the future you come back with your grandkids. The same goes with the Mekong. But the Aqua Blue merits coming back because the 3 itineraries are completely different. We've had guests book, travel, and rebook for the next season. These are some of the pictures of Banda Neira. Again, the Kora canoes at the bottom right. Local life in the Banda Neira, it's all walking. You've got a beautiful market. We buy some incredible fish locally there, and trek and walk around the town. And this itinerary, you fly to the town of Ambon, which is basically right here. It's a 3.5 hour flight from Jakarta, and the ship picks you up right there. You do 7-night itinerary in and out of Ambon, and then fly back to Jakarta. The voyages for that are these itineraries right here. It's basically about 8 itineraries. These plus the cross destination that arrive and leave. But here you can see Banda Neira, Pulau Run, Manuk, and Ambon. Around the back of our Ambon, we go to this place called Fort Amsterdam. There's about 7 Dutch forts we visit. Really, truly spectacular. And then the final frontier. This is Raja Ampat. Yes, these are incredible pictures. You've probably never seen anything like it in this world. That lagoon right there where you're looking at is an incredible jellyfish lake. It's this lake that's been closed off, and jellyfish now have grown in there. There's thousands of jellyfish there that you can climb up into the crater and down into it if you want. They're stingless jellyfish. You can look at our videos on YouTube, on my YouTube channel. You can see the Raja Ampat itinerary. You can see how my wife and I and some other guests are all snorkeling with, swimming with jellyfish, completely stingless. Then you've got the limestone formations of Raja Ampat, otherwise known as the 4 Kings, and then some of the iconic beaches of the area. But Raja Ampat is really an incredible part of the world. You see 2 birds of paradise, the red and the blue, the red and the Wilson bird of paradise. And basically, it's just mind-boggling what you see. We swam with oceanic manta rays, with manta rays, with giant sea caves we go into with the tenders. We trek to the top of mountains to get incredible views of the islands. We go to this one place called Blue River. It's not in this presentation. Look at my Instagram if you want. It's Francesco GZ. I invite you to visit, to follow me. You'll see these rivers that I found. This Blue River in the island of Waigeo, which is a blue freshwater river up in the tropical highlands of Waigeo. And basically it's incredible blue, crystal clear blue water on this river. And we swim down the river about 25 minutes with all the guests through the jungle. It's just off the charts incredible. These are some of the beach sundowners we set up, incredible beaches. We enter some caves with kayaks. This is the itinerary. Basically, you fly to Sorong, so it's West Papua. and the ship picks you up there. She's there November, December, and January. Sorry, December, January, and February, 3 months. And she will be there taking guests for 7-night expeditions into northern Raja Ampat. And we navigate about 60 hours a week. 2-3 nights we navigate overnight. The boat's got stabilizers. She's incredibly sturdy. She was a British Royal Navy research vessel converted to a private yacht for an Italian family, and I purchased it from this family in February last year, and then sailed it from Genoa to Singapore. But I'll tell you more about it in the next few slides. So this itinerary is a 4-hour flight from Jakarta, direct from Jakarta to Sorong. You arrive Saturday morning, and we pick you up and take you to a ship, and you start your expedition into the last frontier of Raja Ampat. The itineraries are these ones right here. You'll see that we do incredible parts of Raja Ampat, really off the charts, beautiful things to see. The ship itself, she's got an incredible history. So this is Aqua Blue, a truly global explorer, 60 meters, basically a mega yacht. And you won't find anywhere in the world that I know that you can get on a ship like this, that's basically a private yacht, but you can buy by the cabin. So you can sell it with confidence. She's available for FIT. We love charters. Definitely consider her for a private buyout. She averages, has a gross rate of about 290 US, 290,000 for the week, 15 cabins, 30 guests, all in, no additional APA, and that's a fraction of what it would cost to charter a ship like this anywhere in the Med or the Caribbean for 6 to 8 guests. But that's not the case. You don't have to. You can do an FIT based departure, and most of them are FITs. Our bread and butter is FIT. We love charters, don't get me wrong, but FIT is what we're there for, and that's the reason why we believe that she occupies a very interesting niche in the market. So she's the first expedition yacht permanently based in Indonesian archipelago. She is Indonesian flagged, which was extremely difficult. If you catch me in the hallway one day, one of these shows at Virtuoso or any other trade show, let me tell you about how to get the permits and what it took. It was quite an adventure. She's also the first one with year-round guaranteed departures, and she's the first steel hull expedition yacht with stabilizers. So it's got 4 engines. She's RENA class, which is the highest class society, and basically has the speed to cover much more distances than any other local ship. So to give you an instance, to get out of Bali and head towards Moyo, where Amanwana is, where we crossed the first night, it's extremely difficult because there's very strong currents in Indonesia, and we have about 2 to 3 currents against us. So we can do that in about 15 hours crossing. Most finishes would take about 24 hours. So that's why boats in Indonesia don't leave Bali to its Komodo. They all fly to Komodo, and the guests get on and off in Komodo. But we want to cover an area, and that's where you see the whale shark. So my little unique selling proposition is the whale shark attraction on my itinerary. The ship has originally built in 1968 as a British research vessel called the HMS Beagle. Okay, not the original Beagle of Darwin, but this is a British Royal Navy ship. Then converted in 2008 and completely rebuilt for a family in Milan that owned it as a private yacht, and I bought it from them last year. Navigated 7,000 miles from Genoa to Singapore. Spent 4 months in Singapore getting completely refit and turned into a global explorer expedition cruiser. She's now got all the amenities and bells and whistles you expect from a global explorer yacht, but catering to an FIT traveler. The pictures there is our dive tender. These are the decks, 3 decks, well, several decks, but 3 decks with cabins. This is a top view of the cabin of the ship. She's got 2 regular snorkeling and leisure tenders, a dive tender. We cater for up to 8 divers with 2 dive instructors. I've got rescue divers, dive instructors. I've got fully equipped, brand new compressors and Scuba Pro equipment throughout the ship. She's got 6 kayaks, stand-up paddle boards, very, very comfortable. That's a ship right outside Saparua, which is this beautiful deserted island in the middle of the Forgotten Islands, a group of islands that we go to call it Forgotten Islands. That's one of our staterooms. They're all suites. They're beautifully appointed, really fully carpeted ship. There's no shoe policy on board. Large bathrooms. Really, look at these bathrooms are with vanities. There's some interconnecting cabins for families. Really nice nature, sort of soft, natural tones to the ship. These are interconnecting double suite 401 and 402 for families. There's also other ones as well on board. Modern, contemporary, but with sense of history, because she does have an incredible heritage. All the furniture, a lot of it is from Minotti in Italy, but again, clean, contemporary lines. That's a dining room. Dining room is for 2, 4, for 6. They can eat as a group. They can eat individually, indoors, outdoors. This is also a briefing room where we have lectures. We have guides that give lectures and show documentaries of Spice Islands. There's one you should watch called Lawrence Blair's Ring of Fire. That's the outside deck. Typically, this is a ship you would see in a picture from a private yacht, right? But to be able to buy this as an FIT is very, very rare. So take advantage of it, because she's scheduled departures, 15 cabins all year round. There's 12 cabins, which are all suites, king or twin, king size suites, or there's 2 entry-level twins, which are for kids or single, which are also nice, just smaller cabins. That's the outdoor space. You've got a sun deck, a sun chair, sun beds. For our honeymoon and anniversary, you can see this incredible swim platform we set up at the back. Look at that. That doesn't get more iconic, and that for an FIT rate. So really an incredible destination. We're getting a lot of young couples that are coming for the diving and the snorkeling. But again, this is not a liveaboard dive boat. This doesn't have ugly diving equipment all over it. This is a beautiful explorer yacht with a diving component. And like I said, I'm a snorkeler, so I make sure that our snorkelers are well taken care of. And even if I have guests that don't snorkel, don't dive, and just want to go out on tenders and swim and beach and do the entire component without those 2 diving snorkeling components, perfectly feasible. Dining obviously is world class. I'm almost done, so just to respect the time. Dining is world class. We partner with a chef called Ben Cross and our food manager, F&B manager called Adrian Broadhead. The dining is a mixture of kind of Middle Eastern, European, and the Spice Islands and how they influenced Indonesia. So it's a mixture of East meets West, but it's basically focused on Middle Eastern, Mediterranean, and then Indonesian spices. So a lot of it is fresh, light, salads, fishes, a lot of vegetarian options. We're getting an increasing amount of vegetarian options, and the menu caters to them perfectly. The activities are very, very varied. You've got tender rides, you've got snorkeling, kayaking. Look at the middle, that's my wife there, snorkeling amongst jellyfish, and pretty freaky once you get in the water, but after you do it, it's just incredible. And then the whale sharks on the bottom left. The cultural component is strong. You've got local arts and crafts town, but very, very cool. The tribes up in Flores, the batik weavings, the cultural aspect, the singing, very kind of the music's very also almost like Polynesian music. It's actually very cool. The crew on board, mostly Indonesian. We've got a few foreign staff that are there to train, eventually to hand over full to an Indonesian crew, but they're 90% Indonesian. Our cabins, I won't bore you with the details. All the details on the website. You can see there's 3 cabin categories. Category 1 being our top, 2 are middle market cabins, and then our 3, which is our entry level, of which we have 3 smaller cabins but beautifully appointed. Our rates range anywhere from $1,100 to basically $1,500 a night, all inclusive, diving, snorkeling, all meals, incredible house wines, and that's for the 7-night or 12-night. This is a summary of the 2021 voyages, similar to the one I showed you before of 2020, just adjusting to the dates of the year, but basically the same time of year. The vessel will be guaranteed in those parts of Indonesia at any event of the year. So get comfortable with that. It's a quick glance of what our year looks like. Destination itinerary, so you see how when we leave the Komodo Islands season, heading toward the Spice Islands, we do this incredible journey through Eastern Indonesia of 12 nights, crossing all these islands called the Forgotten Islands. They're called Forgotten Islands because the locals believe that the central government forgot about them, and therefore they don't get as much TLC from the local government and the central government. But incredible parts of the world. That's the return leg of the cross destination the other way around, from Raja Ampat at the end of the season into the Spice Islands. The diving, as I mentioned, is for certified divers. So this is not a novice dive destination. You've got to be certified and be PADI certified, hopefully open water if possible, to be able to dive. We will offer introductory dives at a price of, I think, $100 a person, if possible, time permitting, but it's usually always feasible. And if not, dive with our dive instructors we can focus on that if you have more questions. They don't have to bring any dive equipment. We have everything. There's an incredible sales resource. Everything I've shown you today and a lot more is on our agent portal. Register for it, please, because it is available for you. And behind it, you've got the resource library. You've got all our taped webinars. You've got our agent booking system. You can book through there. Don't use our regular website to check availability, because through the agent booking system, you can actually even block space with no commitment and have it released back to you. It is commissionable. And so please use our agent portal. Email us. You'll get a username and access, and you can use that to access all our resources. And then obviously videos. This is the destination that sells itself with videos. So please use those videos. They're all labeled. You'll see them on our YouTube channel. You see Komodo Islands, Raja Ampat, Spice Islands. They're a bit of a mix because they're my inaugural voyage videos, but take a look at them because they're truly spectacular videos. The sales team around the world is a global team. It's an incredible group of professionals, all the way from starting with Milia, Global Director of Sales, based here in Lima with me. Then you go to Asia and Benjamin, who's based in Singapore and covers Asia Pacific and Europe. Then you've got Monica Weinstock, based in LA, for our global team in the US and the Americas. Then you've got Joanna Ramirez, based in Lima, that oversees all that is Latin America and the Caribbean. Andrea in Mexico City, based in Guadalajara, oversees Mexico. Sayo in Europe, and Malcolm in the UK, and Kathy in Southeast Asia, and Jody in Australia. But obviously, for your purpose in the US, I believe you're either interested in Millie, of course, Monica, and Joanna, if you're covering any areas of South America. I think that concludes my presentation. I didn't take a sip of water, but as I told you, I can get pretty excited about this stuff, and I could go on for hours, but out of respect for your time and I'm scheduled a few questions. Take a few questions if you want. If not, I would love to be able to continue this conversation online and make myself available to all, you know. I see questions. This may be some activity problems with some of you. The entire session has been recorded, so we can make it available to you. And you know, I've got, just see it here, I've got let's see. So I see a question regarding the whale shark comment. Basically, it is available to see during the Bali Komodo trip or the Komodo Bali trip. So I think that's important to mention. It's not guaranteed, obviously, like anything that's wildlife focused, but it's obviously one of the highlights. Yes, one of the questions is about the buyout. The buyout is all inclusive, so there's no fuel surcharge, there's no F&B surcharge, and happy to build a custom itinerary for you. I think we believe we've created the best itinerary possible. But yes, the buyouts are all inclusive. Let's see. So yes, there's a lot. One of the questions here is how much time per day are guests spending on the ship, off the ship? There's a lot. Our younger audience is very, trust me, everybody's exhausted. They wake up at 6 o'clock. We've even got excursions leaving at 5 o'clock in the morning to go trek to see the birds of paradise. So this attracts a very young audience as well, but a very well-traveled, seasoned audience as well. So it caters to everybody, because we have 3 guides plus an expedition leader, which are their cruise director as well, in case he needs to step up. We can cater to any interest. There's plenty to keep everybody very busy. I've been on trips with multi-generational families or just very young honeymooners as well that want to stay very active. So there's a lot of time spent off the ship. And on board, back on board, there's plenty to do. So very active, yes. The food on board, like I mentioned, I think I addressed that. Maybe this question came halfway through the presentation. So, but again, we can send you the menu and you can take a look at all the details, but we can cater to any dietary requests as long as we're given plenty of time. But off the bat, vegetarian is very well catered to. It says, basically, we offer 2 dives a day through most of our itineraries, except some areas that we don't offer diving, which is some cross-destination itineraries. But most of the times, we're seeing the opportunity to dive twice a day, except for the last day, which we have to stop 24 hours before flying out. The average age has been, I'd say, in the 50 and up is our average age. That's pretty much, yeah, pretty much accurate. Yes, we do have fam trips and we do have advisor rates. Contact us. We'll happily find a time. It's a 7-night trip, so we can't make it shorter. And we do have fixed costs, so we'd love to, but we do have opportunities for you to buy into it, get our agent rate, and then even make it up completely after a few sales. So we do have some great opportunities for you to get to experience it firsthand. So it is 8 divers max per dive activity with 2 dive instructors. So max 4 divers per guide. But if we do have more than 8 divers, we can do 2 groups. That may limit. So again, this is not a live aboard dive boat. This is a leisure explore yacht with a diving component, but we'll try to accommodate everybody. We have a large group of divers. We will never have more than 16 divers. And I'll share with you, yes, the slide of all the contacts, gladly. This is all the contacts right here. If you want, take a minute and I'll leave it on this one so you can see the last, the contact details of Monica or Millie. And obviously they're all on our website as well, or you can email me at fgz@aquaexpeditions.com. Again, it's fgz@aquaexpeditions.com. On that note, I think I pretty much answered all your questions quickly, but again, feel free to contact us if you have any other questions. And I really appreciate all the time you spent today. I've taken up 36 minutes of your time, but very happy to have had this chance to speak to you, and look forward to continuing this talk in the future. All the best. Thank you.